Mill ordered our wedding banner with my husband's ex-girlfriend's name on it instead of mine, then told me to just use it anyway, so I mailed her a fake wedding invitation with her ex-husband's new wife's name on it to teach her a lesson. I really thought my Mill, Dana, 60F, was finally warming up to me. For the longest time, she made it clear that she preferred my husband, David's, 32M, ex, Mia, 30F, over me. She never outright said it, but her actions spoke louder than words. She would bring up Mia constantly, compare me to her, and even reminisce about how she always thought Mia and David would end up together. It was frustrating, but I tried to be patient. I told myself that maybe, with time, she would accept me. When David and I got engaged, I was hesitant to involve Dana in the wedding planning. I knew she had a history of overstepping boundaries, but she kept insisting she wanted to help. She said she was genuinely excited for us and wanted to be a part of making the day special. At first, I was not sure if she meant it or if she just wanted control, but she kept bringing it up every time we saw her. She would say things like, "I just want to help take the stress off your shoulders," or "I plan my own wedding and my sister's, so I know what I am doing." She acted like she wanted to be supportive, and honestly, I wanted to believe her. Against my better judgment, I let her take on a few tasks, thinking it would be a good way for us to bond. I thought that if I gave her something small to handle, she would feel included without taking over. I did not want her involved in anything major, like the venue or the catering, but I figured a decoration would not be an issue. So, when she offered to order the wedding banner, I agreed. She made it seem like such a minor thing. She asked what kind of design we wanted, and I told her something simple: our names, the wedding date, and maybe some floral decorations. She nodded along and said she would handle it. I did not think twice about it after that. A few weeks later, the banner arrived. When I unrolled it, my stomach dropped. Right there, printed in big, bold letters, were David's and Mia's names instead of mine. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. Maybe the printing company got mixed up, or maybe it was an old order Dana had placed years ago that somehow got reordered. There was no way she had done this on purpose, right? I stared at it for a long time, trying to just wrap my head around this. My name was nowhere on it. The banner literally read, "Congratulations David and Mia," with the wedding date underneath. My wedding date. The date I was marrying David. Not Mia. I felt sick. I called Dana immediately, trying to keep my voice steady. I did not even know what I was expecting her to say. Maybe she would act shocked, apologize, and promise to fix it. Maybe she would blame the printing company. Maybe she would say it was just an honest mistake. But no. That was not what happened at all. She did not sound surprised. She did not sound apologetic. In fact, she sounded completely indifferent. When I pointed out the issue, she sighed and said, "Oh well, it's already paid for. Redoing it would just be a waste of money." I was so stunned I couldn't even respond right away. She actually wanted us to keep it. She genuinely expected us to hang up a wedding banner with my husband's ex-girlfriend's name on it. I told her that was not an option. I said we needed to get a new one, and she just kept pushing back, saying it was just a decoration and that I was making a big deal out of nothing. She told me that everyone knew Mia was a big part of David's past, so what did it matter? As if that was supposed to make me feel better. As if acknowledging his past relationship was more important than respecting his current one. She kept trying to guilt trip me into letting it go, saying things like, "Well, I already spent the money, and I do not want to waste it." But the money was not the issue at all. The issue was the fact that she had either made a massive mistake that conveniently aligned with her long-standing favoritism toward Mia, or she had done it on purpose. Either way, she was refusing to fix it. The more I thought about it, the worse it got. She had placed the order herself. She had provided the names. There was no way this was just an accident. And what made it even worse was that she had been bragging to everyone about how much she was helping with the wedding. She kept telling people how involved she was, how she was making sure everything was perfect for us. She made it seem like she was this incredibly supportive Mill when, in reality, she was still clinging to the past and trying to undermine me. I sat there, staring at the banner, feeling completely humiliated. I imagine walking into the reception and seeing the thing hanging up for everyone to see. I imagine my friends and family reading it and wondering what the hell was going on. I imagine people whispering, asking why my husband's ex's name was on our wedding decorations. And Dana really thought I would just let it go? I told David about it that evening. I was still furious, still processing everything. When I showed him the banner, he went silent for a long time. Then he just sighed, rubbing his face like he was exhausted. He was not even surprised. That was almost worse than the banner itself. The fact that he had expected this from her. The fact that he knew, deep down, that his mother would pull something like this. He told me he would handle it, but at that point, I did not even know what handling it would look like. Was he going to confront her? Demand she replace it? Cut her off completely? I had no idea. And honestly, I did not care what she had to say for herself anymore. There was nothing she could say that would make this okay. I was not planning on doing anything at first. I wanted to believe that Dana would realize how wrong she was and feel at least a little guilty. But the more I thought about it, the more I knew that would never happen. She did not see a problem with what she had done. She had spent years making it clear that she preferred Mia over me, and the wedding banner was just her latest move. It was not a mistake or an oversight, it was deliberate. And the fact that she told me to just leave it as it was, because redoing it would be a waste of money, made it even worse. She had embarrassed me. She had humiliated me at what was supposed to be one of the happiest moments of my life. And the worst part was that she had done it with a smile on her face, acting like it was not a big deal. If she wanted to play games, then fine. I could play too. Dana had been divorced for a long time. Christopher, 64M, had left her years ago for another woman, Melanie, 60F, and it had been messy. Even though so much time had passed, Dana had never fully moved on. She never spoke Melanie's name, only referring to her in vague, bitter terms. It was clear that she still resented the woman who had replaced her. That was when I knew exactly what to do. I created a wedding invitation, one that looked just as elegant as the real ones. The only difference was that instead of Dana's name, it listed Christopher and Melanie. Then, I mailed it to Dana's house and waited. For the first few days, there was nothing. No calls, no texts, not even a passive-aggressive comment. But then, the silence broke, not from Dana herself, but from her friends. One by one, they started reaching out, hinting that Dana was feeling disrespected. They tried to make it seem like I had gone too far, as if my reaction was worse than what she had done to me. It was hard not to laugh at the hypocrisy. When Dana had put Mia's name on my wedding banner, none of these people had anything to say. No one had told Dana that she was being disrespectful. No one had reached out to ask how I felt. But now that Dana was the one upset, suddenly everyone was concerned about family relationships and respect. I ignored them all. Then, something unexpected happened. Christopher reached out to me directly. He had heard about what I had done, and instead of being angry, he found it amusing. He said Dana had called him, furious, demanding to know if he and Melanie had been involved. No matter how much he denied it, she refused to believe him. She was convinced that Melanie had played a role in it, which only made her even more upset. The fact that Dana had worked herself into such a frenzy over something so simple only proved that she knew exactly how it felt to be blindsided and humiliated. And for the first time, she had no way to twist the situation to make herself the victim. If she complained about it openly, she would have to explain why I had done it in the first place. After that, she completely stopped talking to me. She still communicated with David, but it was as if I no longer existed. She did not ask about the wedding, did not offer unsolicited advice, and did not try to make herself the center of attention. It was the quietest she had ever been, and honestly, I enjoyed it. The wedding went ahead as planned. A new banner was ordered, one that actually had the right names. Dana showed up, acting polite but distant. She put on a forced smile when necessary, but it was clear that something had shifted. She knew now that I was not someone she could push around. In the end, the pettiness had served its purpose. Dana got a taste of her own medicine, and I got to enjoy the peace that came with it. But now, looking back, I can't help but wonder, was I wrong to do it? Ida for sending my Mill a wedding invite with my Phil's new wife's name on it after she put my husband's ex's name on our wedding banner? Update 1, after the wedding, I knew things with Dana would never be the same. I did not expect her to apologize or admit she was wrong, she was too proud for that. But I did expect some kind of reaction. I thought maybe she would lash out or cause some drama, but instead, she went completely silent. She did not call me, did not send any messages, did not even try to act like nothing had happened. At first, I thought she just needed time to cool down, but then I realized she was not going to say anything at all. It was not an apology, and it definitely was not guilt. It was more like she had decided that if she couldn't control things, she was not going to bother pretending anymore. She still called David, of course. That did not change. But even in those conversations, something felt different. She was not asking about me or bringing up the wedding. She was not complaining about decisions we made or offering unsolicited advice like she used to. It was almost as if she had decided to pretend I did not exist. At first, David did not really notice. He was used to her being a little dramatic, so he just brushed it off. But after a few weeks, even he started to pick up on the shift. He mentioned that she had been acting a little strange, making weird comments about how family should always come first and how she hoped marriage would not change his priorities. He said it in a casual way, not realizing what she was really trying to do. I knew exactly what she was doing. She was not going to outright tell David not to trust me or not to listen to me. That would be too obvious, and he would push back. Instead, she was planting seeds of doubt. She wanted him to start questioning things on his own. She wanted to make him feel as if he chose to put me first, he was somehow betraying his family. But David did not take the bait. He just laughed it off and changed the subject, and when he told me about it later, he did not even seem concerned. He just thought it was Dana being Dana. I let it go. If she wanted to be petty, that was her problem. I was not going to waste my time trying to fix something that was not my fault. Then, a few weeks later, something unexpected happened. Christopher and Melanie decided to host a family gathering. They invited both of their families, including David and me. Out of curiosity, I asked David if Dana had been invited, assuming she had not. But to my surprise, she had been. And even more shocking, she actually showed up. I was not sure what to expect, but the second she walked in, it was obvious that she was uncomfortable. She was trying to act normal, smiling and greeting people, but something was off. She was not her usual loud, overbearing self. She kept her distance from Melanie, barely making eye contact, and instead of chatting with everyone like she normally would, she mostly kept to herself. Melanie, on the other hand, did not seem affected at all. She was warm and welcoming, talking to everyone and making jokes. If she felt awkward about Dana being there, she did not show it. Then, Christopher made a small toast, just thanking everyone for coming and saying how happy he was to have both sides of the family together. He mentioned how lucky he was to have Melanie by his side, and that was when I saw it. Dana's face changed completely. She tried to keep smiling, but for a brief second, I saw the exact expression I had been waiting for. She was furious. She barely lasted another half hour before making an excuse to leave. David noticed but did not say much about it. He just commented that his mom had been acting weird lately. I agreed but did not explain why. After that, Dana became even more distant. She still called David occasionally, but it was not the same. She was not as involved in his life as she used to be. She was not constantly checking in or offering her opinions on things that had nothing to do with her. It was like she had finally realized she had lost control. And I think that realization hit her harder than anything else. For the first time since I married David, I finally had peace. Update 2, Dana's silence stretched on for months. She still called David, but it was not the same. Their conversations were short and lacked the warmth they used to have. She no longer asked about his life in detail, never brought up our home, and certainly never asked about me. It was as if she had chosen to erase me from her version of reality. David noticed, but he did not say much at first. He was not the kind of person who forced relationships, even with family. He figured she would come around eventually, that she just needed time. I was not so sure. From the way she was acting, it seemed less like she was taking time to reflect and more like she was trying to punish both of us in her own passive-aggressive way. Then, one evening, she invited us to dinner. It was the first invitation we had gotten since the wedding, and I was immediately skeptical. Why now? What had changed? David took it as a sign that she was trying to mend things, but I did not trust it. Still, I agreed to go. If nothing else, I was curious. From the moment we arrived at her house, I knew my instincts had been right. She greeted David warmly, but when she looked at me, her smile faltered just slightly before she turned away. It was subtle, but I noticed. Dinner felt stiff and awkward. She spoke to David the entire time, asking him about work, his friends, and even things about our home, but always in a way that carefully avoided mentioning me. She never once asked how I was doing, never directed a single question my way. It was almost impressive, the way she managed to have an entire conversation around me without acknowledging me. I did not react. I let her do whatever game she was playing. I was not going to give her the satisfaction of looking bothered. Then, just as we were finishing the meal, she finally got to the real reason she had invited us. She started talking about family, how important it was, how people sometimes forgot to appreciate the ones who had always been there for them, how selfishness could tear families apart. She never used my name, but she did not have to. Every single word was a veiled jab at me. David, still not fully realizing what was happening, just shrugged and said people grow up, get married, and start their own families. He said it in a casual way, like he thought she was just feeling a little sentimental. He had no idea that she was waiting for him to take her side, to agree with her, to validate the idea that she was the victim in all of this. She did not like his answer. Her face stayed neutral, but there was a flash of something behind her eyes. Annoyance. maybe even anger. But she forced a smile, nodded, and changed the subject. The evening wrapped up quickly after that. We left, and the second we were out of the house, I could tell David felt strange about the whole thing. He did not say anything, but his silence spoke for itself. A week passed, then two. Dana did not invite us over again. Then, David got another invitation, to visit her alone. It was not the first time she had called him without acknowledging me, but this was different. She specifically asked for just him, no mention of me at all. David went, thinking maybe she just wanted a one-on-one conversation with her son. I stayed quiet, letting him see for himself what she was doing. When he came back, he looked puzzled. He said she had been acting strangely again, making offhanded comments about how she missed spending time with him, how things felt different now that he was married. She was not outright blaming me, but she was implying that our relationship was the problem. The next few months followed the same pattern. Dana continued inviting David, but never me. When he questioned it, she acted surprised, as if it had never crossed her mind to include me. If he pushed, she made excuses, said she just wanted to catch up with her son alone, that it was not personal. David started getting frustrated. Then, one day, he finally confronted her. He asked why she never invited both of us, why she kept pretending I was not part of his life. She deflected, of course. She acted like he was imagining things, insisting she was not being exclusionary. But after that, the invitation stopped altogether. For a while, she barely reached out at all. If she called, it was for something specific, holidays, major events, but she kept her distance otherwise. David, for his part, did not chase after her. He did not cut her off, but he also did not make an effort to fix something that was not his fault. And I definitely did not care. If this was the relationship Dana wanted, then fine. We moved on without her. Update 3, Dana's absence had settled into our lives like background noise, always there, but not something we actively thought about anymore. At first, David struggled with it. He tried calling her every now and then, hoping she'd finally get over herself, but the conversations were always the same. Short, polite, distant. She would ask about him, never about me. If he mentioned me, she would go quiet or change the subject. Eventually, he stopped trying so hard. I will not lie and say I was heartbroken over it. After everything she had done, after the wedding stunt with the banner and the way she had completely dismissed me as her son's wife, I was not exactly sitting around waiting for her to warm up to me. If she wanted to hold on to her grudge, that was her choice. I had a life to live, a marriage to focus on, and better things to do than worry about what Dana thought of me. David, though, he took it harder than he let on. He did not talk about it much, but I could tell. He checked his phone less, did not bring her up as often, and when her birthday rolled around, he sent her a message but did not call. That was a first. And then, completely out of the blue, Dana called me. Not David. Me. I actually stared at my phone for a while before answering, trying to figure out what on earth she could possibly want. My first instinct was that something had happened. Maybe she was sick, maybe there was some family emergency. Her voice was different. There was no sharpness, no forced politeness. Just hesitation. She started with small talk, asked how I was, how work was going. It felt awkward, like she was struggling to figure out how to talk to me. Then, after a long pause, she finally got to the real reason she called. She told me she had been thinking a lot. That at first, she had convinced herself that she had been the one wronged, that David had chosen me over her, that she had lost her son because of me. But the more time passed, the harder it became to keep believing that. She admitted she had been petty. That she had let her pride, her jealousy, and her fear of losing control get in the way of having a real relationship with us. She had spent so much time clinging to her anger that she had not stopped to consider what she was actually losing in the process. And then, in the simplest, quietest way, she apologized. She did not try to justify herself. She did not make excuses or say she had been misunderstood. She just admitted that she had been wrong. I was stunned. I had never expected an apology from her, not in a million years. A part of me had just assumed she would stay bitter forever, that this was how things were always going to be. And yet, here she was, admitting everything. I did not know how to respond at first. It was not like I could just pretend none of it had happened. I had spent so long preparing myself for the idea that she would never change that it almost felt unreal to hear her acknowledge what she had done. So I was honest. I told her I appreciated the apology. I was not going to forget the past overnight, and I certainly was not ready to act like everything was magically fine. But I was willing to try. She said she understood. That was it. No begging for immediate forgiveness, no dramatic declarations of love and family unity. Just an understanding that she had messed up and that fixing it would take time. After that, things did not change overnight, but they did start to shift. At first, she made small efforts. She would text me every so often, not just David, but me too. Simple things, like asking how my day was or checking in to see if she knew we had something going on. It was weird at first, but I could tell she was trying. Then, slowly, she started making an effort in person. She invited both of us over instead of just calling David. When we visited, she actually included me in conversations instead of acting like I was not there. She asked me about my work, my family, things she had never really bothered to show interest in before. David was relieved. I could see it in the way he carried himself around her, in how much more relaxed he was when we visited. He had missed her, even if he had tried to push that feeling down for so long. Seeing her actually try to make amends meant more to him than he ever admitted out loud. I did not forget what had happened, but I allowed myself to meet her halfway. One day, a few months after her apology, we were at her house for dinner. It was not anything special, just a casual meal, nothing overly sentimental. But as we were cleaning up, she suddenly turned to me and said, quietly, that she knew she had hurt me. That she knew I had not deserved the way she had treated me. I think that was the moment I really believed her apology. Not just because of her words, but because of how she said them. There was no defensiveness, no expectation of praise or reassurance. Just a quiet admission of guilt. And honestly, I respected that. I was not naive. I knew we were not suddenly going to become best friends. There were still parts of me that kept my guard up, and I was not sure if I would ever fully let them down. But I also knew that she was trying, and that counted for something. For the first time in a long time, things felt normal. Not perfect, not magically fixed, but real. And honestly, that was enough. Update 4, Dana's apology had come out of nowhere, and even though I accepted it, I kept wondering, why now? After everything she had done, after all the ways she had made me feel unwanted, what had finally made her change? I got my answer a few weeks later at a small family gathering. Dana was there, and while things between us were better, there was still a little awkwardness. It was strange to go from constant tension to her actually being nice to me. I was still trying to adjust. At one point, Dana stepped outside with David's cousin, Lisa. They sat on the patio, talking quietly. I was not trying to listen, but as I walked past, I caught bits and pieces of their conversation. Lisa was comforting Dana, telling her something about how people change and how not everything can be fixed. It sounded serious, but I did not think too much about it. Later that night, David told me what had happened. A few months before Dana apologized to me, she had tried to reconnect with an old friend, her childhood best friend, Marianne. They had been close for years but had drifted apart after a falling out. Dana always believed Marianne would come back one day, that their friendship was not really over. But when Dana reached out, Marianne did not want to talk. She told Dana that their friendship had ended for a reason and that she had no interest in bringing her back into her life. That shook Dana. For years, she had assumed she would always have another chance to fix things. She thought Marianne would eventually forgive her. But now, she had to face the truth. Some relationships do not get second chances. Sometimes, when you push people away for too long, they stay gone. Dana was upset and turned to Lisa for advice. And Lisa, instead of comforting her, told her something she needed to hear. She pointed out that Dana had been doing the same thing with David. She had spent so much time resenting me, trying to prove she was right, that she had been pushing her own son away. And for the first time, Dana really listened. She realized she had a choice. She could keep acting the way she always had and risk losing David, or she could finally change before it was too late. That's what made her reach out to me. Not guilt, not pressure from David, just the understanding that if she did not fix things now, she might never get another chance. Hearing all of this made me see her apology differently. It did not erase the past, and it did not mean we would suddenly be close. But for the first time, I believed that Dana truly wanted to make things right. Not just for David. Not just for appearances. But because she did not want to lose the people who still cared about her.